Wade here. Welcome back to the Wade Alter Show. So today is the day. We have officially launched the expert interview series as a second part to the Wade Alter Show. Every Monday, we have new fresh content coming out. And what we're going to be doing is every Thursday is going to be an interview with some of my closest friends, as well as best-selling authors, seven-figure business owners, great marketers, coaches, consultants. We're going to get into it all. Anyone that I think would be a good fit to help you live the lifestyle you want, how to be more successful as an entrepreneur, and just kill it in everything that you do. And so I got a bunch of these queued up for the next couple of weeks. They're going to be coming out every single week. But the first one here I have is with a good friend of mine, and his name is Tripp Kramer. He actually is a dating coach, and he runs a business called Tripp Advice. He's got over 600,000 YouTube subscribers on his channel. But beyond that, he's got an incredibly successful business. And so I thought he'd be a great first guest because I know a lot of you are thinking about being influencers. There's a fair amount that want to be coaches. We get into a lot of great stuff, specifically about how to scale your business, how to delegate effectively, and what I call old man business tactics, like the real world shit, not the, how do I get more followers on my social media account? How do I get more followers on Instagram? This is about how do I monetize? How do I convert that traffic? And how do I do it at the very start of a business into not only a six-figure business, but multiple six figures and into seven figures and beyond. So I hope you enjoy it. And here's Tripp. Okay, here we are. We have Tripp Kramer from Tripp Advice. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the podcast. I remember I had you on my podcast many years ago at this point. I think maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like 2.5 years ago, we were talking about girlfriend stuff. And it was so good. I'm not even kidding. It was so good. I'm taking advice for real. I'm taking advice from what you said on that episode.
I do remember that now. Yes.
Do you want to hear the piece of advice that I took?
What was it?
Okay. And when I first heard it, I was like, that's ridiculous. But now, like, it makes total sense to me. The piece of advice was, if you're dating a girl and you want to get a girlfriend, only see her once a week until you guys get more serious. And I think it was even like see her once a week until you guys actually become a couple. And to me, I was like, wow, that's an extreme piece of advice, because usually in order to really get to know someone, or if you really like someone, you end up, hanging out with them quite a bit. Sometimes, up to 2, 3, even 4 times a week. But now that I'm back in the dating scene, I mean, I guess I'm busier, so that's maybe one of the reasons, but definitely helps just to like see them once a week and do your thing and just take it slow. I really like that idea of taking it really slow. It's kind of like a common phrase in business, which is fire fast, hire slow. And I like that concept of just like, all right, really get to know this person. Is this person going to be a good fit? And take your time with it so you know that they are. And if you ever find out that they're not, you got to get rid of them. Fire them and or break it off with them and move on. So
I like it. That's a good, we got the correlation right there with business too, right? Where it's like, you have to set the right precedents. And I've definitely made that mistake with employees before, where you're like, oh, this person's perfect. You look at their resume and you're all like super excited. And then you kind of don't go through the process of like having proper interviews and kind of like job responsibilities. And it really is, it's like getting them to kind of sell themselves on the role and everything like that. And you're like, oh no, I don't need to go through this sort of like, what is, I always say for that sort of stuff, like the girlfriend thing, like sometimes guys after the fact are having issues and they're like, oh, why did it break off? Or what could I have done to change things? And I'm like, man, you just didn't play the game solid. Like the solid game. And it's like, it's funny with that once a week thing, because that's something literally, I remember being just a newbie on an internet forum and some guy like said that and it just kind of etched in stone. And then I've seen it so many times like in my own life and then again and again and again with clients and stuff like that, So
yeah, and now it's in my brain and now I'm going to be giving that advice to other people as well.
And it's super like, there's no nuance, right? I think that's a great part of it,
Yeah. And I'll mention something too regarding the hiring. It's interesting because I don't necessarily take that exact advice for when I hire. I think there's 2 methods of hiring. And I think it depends on what position you're hiring, which system to use. So for example, there's hire slow, fire fast, right? Then there's hire fast, fire fast. And I use that as well sometimes because sometimes you just don't know how well they're going to do until they do it. For example, when I'm hiring a developer, which is a very common position in many companies, right, is hiring someone to do the coding for your website and stuff. I have noticed that the guy can have the best interview in the world and he sucks. And sometimes I've noticed that I've gotten on interviews with guys who I'm just like, can you code this? Are you available these times? Okay, what's your rate? Okay, cool. And then I hire them with literally a minute interview and they're amazing. And then they end up leaving because they get other positions or other jobs and it doesn't work out down the line. So that's one of the positions that like, I don't take my time with that. It's like, I don't know if you're going to be good until you get in and do it. But that's one of the most common positions that I'm trying to fill all the time. But if I were hiring like an assistant or someone to do those types of tasks or customer service, then I would take the fire fast, hire slow and really find out like who this person is and test them out on some things and make sure that they're a good fit and get them comfortable with, you know, my business and things like that. So I don't know. I guess there's two different strategies there that I've heard of, and it just depends which way you want to go with it.
That was one thing actually I wanted to get into with you specifically. Because, you know, when we're both living in Chicago and talking a lot about different marketing, sales funnels, things like that, I had always gone the path, which, you know, there's good and bad to it, of almost becoming an expert in every area from development, HTML, copywriting, marketing, Facebook advertising, and everything else, right? Whereas I think you've done a great job of really knowing how to delegate effectively. I'd just be interested to hear kind of what your philosophy is, how that the mistakes you made early on, how things have changed and everything there. Because it was funny, I was having a conversation with this, she's a headhunter for like Filipino VAs. And she's got like 4 or 5 different businesses. They're all doing like incredibly well. She's like not even 30 years old yet. And she's like, you know what? Like probably the best thing that's ever happened to me is that I'm not good at anything. And so I just learned to delegate it really fast. Right.
Totally.
And it's like, it almost, she's like, I see it too often with people because that's what she does, is where because they're too good at these things, like again, the design work or the HTML, it sucks them into that versus doing the high leverage stuff. So I guess I'd be interested to hear what, I think you're kind of in that mold too, but also like, do you feel sometimes, the fear that I always have is you're giving your power away a little bit if you don't know it well enough and then you're kind of dependent on someone. Where are you with the balance of that?
Well, first I'll say this. Me and my business partner were talking about this recently, and he said something to me very interesting. He said, you know what I think the number one skill in business is? And I was like, no, what do you think? He said, I think the number one skill in building a business is hiring. And it really clicked for me when he said that. I don't know if he heard that somewhere, but either way, it's like, that makes sense on so many levels. And I'm not talking about necessarily the strategy like we were just talking about, like the intricacies of like, oh, how do you hire fast and slow? Like just if you find the right people and you do it effectively, you can build a massive business. And I've been doing this now for 7 years and I have seen that, right? It's like when we hire someone good, our business grows. When we hire someone shitty, well, it doesn't grow. It stays stagnant, right? And so, of course, if you're running a business, you don't want to stay stagnant. You want to grow. And so if you're not hiring properly, it's just taking more time. And we've seen that. Another thing I've learned too, in terms of hiring, this is not 100% of the time, but most of the time, don't try to get a deal. Hire people and spend the money. It's very scary and a lot of people won't. They'll be like, no, I want to get the guy over halfway across the world to do my SEO and he's $3 an hour. And it's like, all right, you can try that, but like, are you really going to get results with that? Or would you rather hire someone who's $50 an hour, who's an expert and knows what they're doing? And then I'll kind of answer now what you were saying earlier. It's like, whatever your business is, you have a skill, right? Everyone has that one thing that they're really good at. In our businesses, for example, it's the information. It's the delivery of the information or the content, so to speak. So my skill set is delivering the dating advice for Tripp Advice, which is the business that I run. And then I have some other like second tier skills that I'm good at. And, you know, I'm like good with video and stuff like that because I have a YouTube channel. And I don't know, I guess I'm pretty good at some marketing techniques and sales. Like I'm pretty good at sales calls. Now, am I really good at those? No. But I'd rather spend my time getting better and better at the dating advice stuff and then hire people below you to do the other things. Now, I was in that point when I started my business and I was doing everything, literally everything. And that's fine. Sometimes you don't have any money when you start the business. You don't have anyone investing, or you haven't saved anything. So you got a guerrilla and you got to just do a lot of things yourself or do some things cheap. But what's scary about doing that for too long is you get very comfortable. And then if you start to make some money, you like seeing that money, and you just came from like broke mentality. So you don't want to spend this money that you just got to invest because, well, look, you made that money and you've been doing everything yourself. But I promise you, if you want to build a big business, I mean, I would just say bottom line, like $100,000 business, you might get there doing it all by yourself, but I promise you, you're going to be stressed out, and I doubt you'll go farther than that because you're not going to be able to handle the load. You just won't be able to. And it's cool. Like, yeah, it's cool to say like, yeah, I do everything and I do everything myself and I do the SEO and I code and I do this. And it's like, all right, so if you really enjoy working non-stop, doing everything yourself, and you're okay with being capped at a certain salary, good luck. But I'm going to say you probably don't like that as a business. So I had some times where I was like, all right, we're doing it. We're ripping off the Band-Aid. It's time to, for example, here's what happened. I'll tell you a story. So I got a business partner involved about halfway through the life of my business. This is about 3 years ago. And one of the first things he said when he came in is like, all right, bro, we need customer service. And I didn't know anything about really building a business. I knew how to like sell and give dating advice, but that's as far as I really knew. And I'm like, customer service, like, why do we need that? I was just doing that. I was answering all the emails. He goes, do you want to grow a big business? I said, yeah, of course. He goes, CEOs don't do their own customer service. And I was like, okay, I guess I connect to that idea. And then he said, also, if this business is going to grow and you're going to be doing customer service, you're going to be doing it all day long. And you're literally going to have no time to do the thing that you do, which is give the dating advice. And if you think that you're going to have the time, well, then you're not thinking big enough and you're not thinking that this business is going to grow. So we have to give this to somebody else to do it. So all of a sudden, my email, which is tripp@trippadvice.com, I no longer had access to. Meaning now that is the customer service email and we have a guy who runs that. And it was very hard for me. I was like, but those are the emails that are coming to me and I'm not going to see those emails anymore. Like, this is so weird. He's like, bro, we just got to pull the Band-Aid off and pull the trigger. And it was very hard to separate that and just trust that this guy who's doing the customer service is going to do a good job. Of course, I can check in on him and see what he's doing. I'm not actually literally locked out of the email, but I had to give over that trust and say he's going to just know what to do with the emails that come in, and he's going to be able to assign the tasks properly and do all the things that a customer service rep has to do. And so for the first couple weeks, not even, for the first maybe like week, I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. But then all of a sudden, all this, can I swear?
Yeah.
All this shit just cleared up. And I was like, this is amazing. I was like, this is awesome. I want more of this. This is incredible. And it becomes way more enjoyable to manage a team. And that's even something down the line that you grow a business like big, you can hire someone to do that. And now they're managing it. But now it's about managing a team to hire the right people, to do the right tasks, to do the job right, and then free yourself up. Not only, by the way, if you're a CEO or you're an entrepreneur, not only to free up time, which is nice, but that freed up time gives you more creative energy. Because if you're busy doing a lot of things with the coding and the this and the customer service and whatever, you're not going to have enough brain power to come up with ideas for your business, or you're going to be rushing through the skill that you have. So for me, I create content. So now it's like, well, I got to rush through the thing. It's like, well, now everything's half-assed, right? So now you just got this business that's keeping you so busy and everything's half-assed. And sooner or later, you're just going to crumble. So that's, I'd say, the biggest learning lessons that I've had in terms of building out the team and trusting. And you know what? Someone doesn't work out. The customer service guy says, I quit. Now it's like, whoa, oh God, are we going to do our own customer service now? The guy quit. Nope. We're just going to hire someone, get someone in there and just deal with it, you know? But from now on, I'll never be doing those tasks again. And I'll be focusing on my thing.
Nice. I love it. I got a couple questions, but also just some thoughts. I think it's interesting. What you talked about, for me, I always talk about bandwidth. and how it's not even about the work that you do, right? It's also about just the time you're thinking about shit, So like it's even like what you're programming your brain at night, right? So it's all of a sudden like when you have those dreams, are you having those dreams about, oh shit, I have to do that website? Versus is that dream about, okay, I'm going to do this or create this new product idea or whatever. And so it really is for me, I'm like, how can I unlock not only within the business, but actually outside as well? Like, let's say for like you have a toxic relationship and all you're thinking about is like, oh my God, my girlfriend, should I break up with her or should I not break up with her? Like that bandwidth that you're wasting thinking about that is bandwidth that could be spent going, how do I serve my clients better? What's my new monetization pathway or something like that, right? So I love the fact that I think that's the thing that it's one of those sort of subtle, invisible things related to focus. And you always hear those stories of like, I think it was Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, where they're like, what's the number one thing that leads to your success? And they both said at the same time, focus. And that's the thing. Like, so for me, it's almost like being vigilant of where I put that focus at, So it's really cool that you kind of highlighted that with it. I had a question about it because two things you kind of mentioned, you're like, the realization that I had was that you want to think that, okay, the business is going to be perfect enough that it grows enough, there's enough profit, and all of a sudden I'm ready to hire the people I need to hire. And I realize, it's like, philosophy of life here. You're never going to be ready. Things are never going to be perfect where you just have enough money saved and the profitability to hire that person. So what have you noticed with some of those things related to how long it took before you saw sort of revenue created from them? And my guess is partially this could be like, well, actually it didn't, but it freed me up enough time to create revenue in other ways. But the other thing I'd be interested too is like, do you have a sort of process of like, okay, how long, like let's say, I know you've hired copywriters and stuff like that. So let's say you have a big 15K, 20K, 30K investments. Do you have a sort of game plan of saying, okay, we need to cash flow this back within 2-3 months, or just what's kind of your mindset when it comes to actually like looking at it as this is sort of like an investment in the business and the return on that investment?
Well, it depends on what you're investing in, right? There's direct ROI. And then I didn't go to business school, so I'm making up terms right now. But I just like intuitively know, right? There's things that offer direct ROI, and then I'm just going to call it slower ROI. Mm-hmm. For example, direct ROI in my business would be copywriting. I know that copy gives a direct return on investment because it's the actual sales tool that brings in the money. It's direct. So I know if I spend $15,000 on copywriting, I will get that back. Now, it all depends on where you are in your business. So in my business, I have a lot of traffic. I have a lot of guys that I know that are ready to buy stuff. So I know that right now, if I even spend $30,000, for example, on copywriting, well, that's going to be a good investment and I'll see it back fast because I know that I have people to buy it. Now, if you are just starting out and you're nobody and no one knows who you are and you have no traffic, you have no social media presence, that's a really tough $15,000 to spend on something that's direct ROI. So what I would say is progress over perfection on that one. It's like, all right, get something just done, get something there. $15,000, that might, depending on your financial situation, if you don't have any investors, nothing saved up, that might just murder you. You might just like spend $15,000 and you're not getting ROI fast enough. So then your business tanks very fast and then you're in debt and then you have to get a new job and you have to deliver pizzas or drive Uber. And now you just took even more time to build the business, right? It's all about how much time you have. So in that case, it's like, well, spend a little bit of money and just get it up there, get some sort of copy or sales or whatever your sales process is. Get that thing going now to the best of your ability, to the most that you could afford. And then as you continue going, you can spend more and spend more. And I'd say like spend a little bit more outside of your comfort zone. I would say like for me right now, spending like, $20,000, $25,000, like, oof, that's a lot. Is it manageable? Yep, it's manageable. You can do it. But like, just like it's a little past the comfort zone, I think, because you want to take it as far as you can to get the best of whatever it is that you're trying to get. And then there's other things, whatever the slower ROI that I'm labeling is like things that, okay, it's not a direct where you're going to see sales right away, but you want to hire someone good so the business is running smoothly. Because what happens if it's not running smoothly, you have to invest more time into fixing it, which takes time away from producing the goods and the things that you need to do to make more money, right? So an example of that would be going back to customer service. We had a really good hire. We got a little lucky. I will admit it was a great hire that my business partner met at a conference, but he didn't meet him in person. And it's worked out very well. So with that, it's like, okay, you want to get someone good. And again, kind of use that rule that I said, like spend a little bit outside your comfort zone. So it's not going to kill you, but just push it a little bit so you can spend more to get someone better. And then is that going to be an increase in sales? No, not right away. But if it's a good customer service person and people are coming in and they're like, oh, I have a problem with this product, or I have a problem with this, or I have a question with this, you'll have good customer service. People are going to be like, oh, wow, it's really nice dealing with Tripp Advice. It's so easy. Like, for example, today, this is not an ad, I promise. I ordered a Casper mattress. This company is just like, fucking A, man. Like from the hold music, I'm sitting there like, oh, this is amazing. Beautiful hold music. And then every like 2 minutes, they come in with a little sleeping quote that's really funny. It's like no one else is doing that. Like these little things. And I get on the phone, the person's talking to me like I'm a human, and even using like kind of like normal lingo and not like talking like a robot. And they just get the thing done fast. And that's it. I'm done. I don't even have the mattress in my home yet. I'm a customer for life. Because I know if I ever have to deal with these people, it's going to be great and it's going to be easy. So what is going to happen now? I'm going to give Casper more of my money. Now, is that direct ROI? No, but that is ROI because you're investing in your business to have the proper function and strategy. And over time, you will see ROI from that because someone's going to go, wow, you know what? I didn't really like this product that I bought from Tripp Advice, but what a great, easy way to get my money back and return it. I know that I can buy more products from them in the future. And if I don't like it, it's going to be easy. So I will buy more products in the future. And I will recommend it to people because maybe that product just wasn't for me. Or you have a shitty customer service experience and it's hard to get a refund or it's hard to get in touch with them. And then you're just like, fuck this company. Because people are so easy to just go to, you're like, fuck this company. If I had a bad customer service experience with Casper, I would tell everyone. I'd be like, yeah, the bed's good, but like they just suck. Like if I have a problem, like, I don't know. It's like, if I could take it all back, I'd probably just, would buy another mattress altogether. You know what I mean? And that's just one area. I'm just talking about customer service. There's all these other areas of the business. So I don't know where we are now. Does that answer the question that we were talking about?
Yeah.
In terms of how to deal with ROI and investing in things.
For sure. Actually, you hinted at a few things. Well, one thing I wanted to get into related to hiring, since this is kind of the theme here of like, delegating and, increasing time almost, like leveraging your time effectively.
Yeah.
I feel that like in every business owner, you make the mistake of scaling too fast. Like all of a sudden you start seeing some success and you're like, let's scale it. And then you do it in ways that are like fat, I'll say, where there's, you got to streamline it and you kind of learn and then you scale back. I was talking to a guy last week, like a really successful affiliate marketer. And he's like, oh yeah, the accordion. He's like, that's a really healthy business when you're able to kind of like have the accordion going based on like, the lean times and then the flourishing times. And I realized for me, the first time around, I think partially there was an ego attachment to it. Where I was like, okay, for me to be successful, like a successful business owner, I need to have the team and I need to have the 5 to 6 employees and they're doing their different things and all the processes in place and setting up Asana and Slack boards and all this shit. And I felt really like, because what do you do when you go to like a meetup with other entrepreneurs? They're like, oh, what's your business? Not like, how much money do you make? Because it's too like personal. But they're like, oh, how many employees do you have? And you're like, oh, 20 employees. Oh, wow, you must be doing pretty well there, right? So there's this sort of ego drive that I think you need to keep in check. But the thing that I learned, it's actually like a good theme for life, but definitely for business. And it was one of my early entrepreneur mentors. And he said, I was moving to Chicago and my landlord was like, hey, you can do a 14-month rent. So you get out in April versus like January. And for him, it would have been easier to fill the place. And so I was mentioning this to my mentor and he's like, dude, he goes, no matter what, always go for the least commitment possible. And it's kind of like from that, I've really applied that to everything in life and realized, because I'm kind of in a process of scaling right now, got half a dozen new people kind of in the works with like assistants and designer, developer, all that shit. And I even got some of the same people, whereas before I brought them on part-time with kind of setting expectations of it being full-time. And then what happens, it's like anything, whatever you measure grows. If my goal is to have him be full-time, I'll find random shit for him to do. But is that the shit that he should be doing? versus really having now a situation where if there's something, I reach out to him, he's available, he does it, and that's it. And it's like, you're $100 here or there for a few hours of work versus like committing to thousands of dollars a month in overhead and payroll and things like that. So that was like a huge thing, I guess, to put out there for everyone else is like, and I think you said this well too, of like, start off with just a project or something like that, and then if they work out, then you can bring them on for more, don't just commit right away to thinking again, like, well, what would a real business do? Oh, they like salary this employee, sort of whatever. And it's just like you commit too much. And I think, that's one of the biggest ways people kind of get into that cash flow crunch.
I'll also add in this in terms of like ego and things. I think we talked about the book. We've talked about Ready, Fire, Aim, right? We've talked about that a few times when we've met up. And so I remember from that book, such an influential book for me in terms of like how to grow a business. And one of the biggest takeaways from the book, besides the concept of Ready, Fire, Aim, was your number one focus from 0 to 1 million, which is pretty big, by the way. It's like even $1 million business, like it's hard to get there. So it's like your focus for a very long time when you build up this business is sales. It's like that's the number one thing in terms of we're talking about like scaling and growing. Now, of course, that means that you like we're talking about you got to implement all the stuff we said in terms of hiring properly and all that. He goes, but that's your focus right there. Not being cool and saying like, oh, I have these employees and this many, and you're just trying to like overhire or, just make decisions based on your dumb ego, which is just going to be like, well, you're going to realize soon enough that it's not going to really get you anywhere. It's like business, the blood of a business is cash flow and you need cash. How are you going to get cash? You need to make sales. I mean, it's so funny because it's like you hear that and you're like, oh, duh. But I don't think people are really implementing that. And I don't think, I know I was implementing that in the business even when I heard it, but I wasn't really thinking about it in that way. And that mindset has helped me a lot over time in terms of making all like these little micro decisions for the business. It's like, well, what's the most important decision right now? Sales, making sales, getting money. Why? Why is money so important? It's the blood flow of the business. But what does that mean? That means that money is going to help you grow the business and get it where it needs to be. Because once you're making money, then you can invest properly, hire properly, and do the things to keep scaling it and making it grow. You cannot scale a business that's not making any money. You cannot grow a business that's not making any money. So you have to hustle to get that. And I remember too, I did build Tripp Advice to 6 figures all by myself with no employees. And I mean, I'm not showing off that. That's not necessarily cool. Like it would have been better if I hired people. I probably would have gotten there even faster. But what was cool about that was because I was really just focused on sales. Like all day long, it was how do I get more people on the phone with me to make the sales call to get them to sign up for coaching? How do I do that? Like everything, all I was doing all day. Yeah, I had the website up. I did that. I was doing my own customer service, but it didn't take up too much time because I didn't have that many customers at that point. But it was just like all day long, sales calls, and ways to get them to get on the sales call. And that's all I was doing. And that was the main focus of the business. And that's continued now, but in different ways. But yeah, that's what you got to do.
Well, I think, it's really cool. We were talking before this about like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And then, if you look at kind of the assets that you have like publicly, like let's say the YouTube channel, I mean, how many subscribers you got at this point?
I think I'm nearing like 650,000 or close to it.
Awesome. Yeah. And so I would imagine like if I was seeing, oh, cool, this guy, he's got all these YouTube followers. I'm going to listen to this and he's going to talk about YouTube strategies and YouTube hacks. And like, that's what makes his business successful. And it's like, what you realize is like, no, the thing that makes a business successful is like old man business shit. like negotiations, sales, hiring effectively, pricing, like it's all the classic shit that's like been around since the beginning of time, I guess. But, especially the last 100, 150 years.
It's funny because hearing you say this reminds me of a phone call I had the other day with this guy. He's a YouTuber. He's got almost 200,000 subscribers. He does personal development and he's in the YouTube world. He knows some other people who are YouTubers. And he told me, he goes, yeah, I know a couple of YouTubers who have about 200,000 subscribers, which by the way, if you're listening, That is a lot. Okay. It is not easy to grow to 200,000 subscribers. It takes a long time. So that's a very good number to have. And he told me that some of these people are quitting. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are they? Like, yeah, they didn't figure it out. They don't know how to monetize. It's not working for them. So they're just, going to do something else. And it's like, and that just, reinforced my brain. It's like having lots of views and subscribers and Instagram followers. That's not it. That's half the battle. Now it's very important, very, very important. I attribute a lot of my financial success and business to the YouTube channel, but you have to know how to monetize it properly or else nothing's going to happen, and that's why these people kind of just fell off. Yeah, that's it.
I feel like maybe it's a business right there, like acquiring people's like burnt out social media accounts or something. I'm like, shit. That's like for me, I was talking with something, whatever, long story short, this guy lost about 100,000 YouTube subscribers through like random shit happening, right? And I'm like, that's a 7-figure bit. Like I could take that. That's a 7-figure business. Like 100K subscribers. That's all I need. Of course, niches are different, right? Like, so it's got to be in the right niche. It's got to make sense and stuff like that. But ideally, you're good at both, right? But I feel I see a lot of people that are either good at traffic or they're good at monetization. And it's trying to be like when you have both, I think that's, the ultimate. For me, like if I really look at it, it's like, it just comes down to that, like the sales part. I think it's scary because there's the social aspect of it. And so people are afraid to get on the phone or they don't, they're not confident in what they're selling and things like that. Or the other side is like the marketing. I feel it's tough because there's so much out there. There's so many different ways to do it. That alone leads to people just getting confused of like, oh my God, all these complicated funnels and tripwires and lead magnets and all this sort of stuff. And they go, oh, and then I think actually probably the biggest one in the YouTube world or any social media is people are modeling the wrong people. And so they're like, oh yeah, like it's like what we're talking about here. No one sees the behind the scenes of what you're doing to make it a successful company. So like if somebody probably like if I just saw again your sort of publicly superficial stuff, I'd have been like, oh, okay, he's kind of got this product that he's pitching and he's kind of, he's doing videos every day. Okay, cool. And there's music in these videos. Okay, cool. And people don't know how to model the right things, I think is another big part.
What's interesting too is, and you might even, if let's just say like you could dissect my business and like open it up with a scalpel and see kind of what's going on, you wouldn't find anything too crazy. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's the secret. That's what he's doing. That, you know what I'm saying? Like you would dissect it and you would see focus and simplicity. I mean, it's crazy. It blows my mind sometimes. Like in terms of an internet business, you need traffic and conversion. Like the summit says, the big internet conference, traffic and conversion summit, because that's it. That's all you need. 100 years ago, you need a storefront, and then you need to have the storefront in a location where people can walk by it and go in, right? Traffic and conversion. Have something to sell that people want, that's conversion. And then you need a group of people to buy it, that's traffic. So when you dissect my business, that's all you're really looking at. I only have one sales funnel. I have a lot of products, but it's one funnel. And, and my business partner really has helped me out a ton with this in terms of focus. We could have gone off and made so many new funnels and new products and focused. And it's just like, well, is this one killing it right now? Are we loaded with tons of cash and everyone's happy and it's the best product in the world? No. So why would we go off and make another product? Okay. So we got to keep on focusing and do all the work to make it bigger. So really all you're going to see when you dissect it is you're going to see one sales funnel and then you're going to see traffic coming in and seeing the storefront. They get access to, oh, this guy has a product. And then you connect the two. That's where, for example, the YouTube channel comes in. It's just a connector. That's all it is. It's just a, hey, I have solutions to your problems. I have content and videos to talk about it. And guess what? I have a product and you can buy it. And I tell them about the product and I get them into the product. Whether that's telling them directly, go buy my product on the YouTube channel, or get on my email list. And I give them incentive to get on the email list because that is another way to sell people. Email is very, very popular because it's very effective. And that's it. I mean, that's really it. And of course, I call this the X factor. Okay. There's something called the X factor. I use this term in business and in relationships. So in relationships, the X factor is You could be the most attractive looking guy with a lot of money and be so charismatic and just be like, everything is amazing. And you still won't get every girl. Why? Because some girls you're just going to connect with fast. And that's going to happen. That's an X factor. You can't manipulate that. It's just kind of like, what you believe in, the universe or God or energy or whatever, or just whatever. It's like, that is just like, okay, there's going to be a spark there. Now, the X factor in business is, are you talented enough, depending on the business, I'd say captivating enough, or maybe I'd say maybe creative enough to have the right solution to the person's problems. I don't think you can really study that. You can a little bit, but you have to be creative enough to come up with solutions. What is your solution to the problem? And that's literally every business in the entire world. Every business has a problem that they're solving. And so that is this kind of like, what is your thing? And that's what makes you unique and you special, depending on what your business is. What is your thing? And how can you get creative enough to find the solution and deliver the solution to whoever your customer is?
Love it. I think one thing that you highlight that I want to get to, and as we're kind of wrapping up here, but it's like, I think it could be maybe the biggest mistake I see influencers or information marketers make, which we're kind of both in that realm, is that it's so easy to create a new product that becomes the solution. So whenever you have an issue in the business, you're like, oh, I'll create something new. But what you should do, and this is, I heard this from a friend who his mentor said this, he's like, whenever you go through the cash flow crunch, instead of focusing on something new, double down on sales. Like, because you're already selling something, just go sell more of that. Figure out how to sell more of that versus creating something completely new that you don't know about, that you have to test. You got to get market research. You have to build the systems. You got to put everything in place, whether that's funnel side, humans, everything, new sales pages versus like, you already got this shit over here. You just probably got bored of it. And you've just got to figure out a new way to sell this. So he's like, always go back to sales and doubling down on sales versus creating something new, So I love
That's
that.
good. I 100% agree with that. And then that takes a lot of discipline, How much time can you handle doing some of the same repetitive stuff over and over to make it so whatever you're selling works, I mean, look at Apple. How many times have they redone the iPhone? Every single year. And they also make like other types of iPhones with it. They're just figuring out new ways to sell the iPhone and make it better. If you look at sales of iPhones from the day it came out to now, it's insane. And what do? They really focused in on that product. Of course, they made other products along the way. I actually really think about it. I don't even know how many new products they've even come out with since the iPhone. I don't know, the iWatch and maybe like their new, and then they've just been upgrading their current models. But they're just like, how do we make the Apple MacBook better? How do we make the iPhone better? And that's the 80-20 of their sales. And all their sales are coming from all their computer stuff and that freaking iPhone. And you got to do the same thing. It's just like, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? And how do I get into the hands of more people? And that's the problems that you need to continually solve to grow your business.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So we got a little bit of time left. I want to do a lightning round here. Ask a couple quick questions for you. Start off, I wonder if you've said this already, but give me your 3 top books.
Okay. In no order, really. We already said one is Ready, Fire, Aim. Just one of my favorite business books. It's just rich with lessons. And I just think if you follow everything that guy has to say to the T, you'll really build a big business. Just again, the book talks about progress over perfection and just making sales fast and getting your business growing and how to do it efficiently and fast, which is what you want to do, right? Another book I would say is The Power of Now. Just that book taught me how to chill. And I read it like, it's the only book, I think it's the book I've read the most. I've read it maybe 3 or 4 times at this point because it's like you can just keep coming back and learning more lessons. Really, it's 200 pages of the guy saying the same thing over and over about how to be present and how to be mindful and how to just kind of live in the moment. But it's just, I mean, it's hard to grasp that concept because we don't live in the moment. I think it's really important for just your emotional health. A third book that I would recommend. I don't know if I have another one to recommend.
No more books. We'll start with 2. That works.
That's all I got.
Cool. What's your favorite life hack?
I don't know if you want to call this a life hack, but it's a habit that I definitely have that I do every single day. And it just helps me keep clear and either start the day or sometimes in the middle of the day kind of refreshes me. And just going for a walk outside for like 10 minutes, it's one of my favorite parts of the day. I can just like put in some music and just chill and walk. And it's cool to walk outside and have no destination. I think that keeps you a little bit more present and keeps you more kind of in the moment. And you can just reflect on maybe either what's been going on that day, or if you're doing it in the morning, which lately I've been doing a lot in the mornings, is just like being outside, getting fresh air, and knowing that, hey, I have this time to myself right now and I don't need to think about work. I can if I want to. Maybe I think of ideas or things coming up, but I can just do that. And it really sets a good tone for the rest of the day. Or like I said, sometimes I just want to wake up and start working because it depends if I have projects going on, but then I make sure to take that break in the afternoon. And it just like really just helps me focus. So I'd say that's one of my favorite habits that I've been doing consistently over the past few years.
Nice. Yeah, enjoy that in those Chicago winters that you just.
I know right now I'm all happy about it. I've been living in summer for perpetually for the past 9 years of my life. And now this winter is going to come up, but see what happens.
Cool. Final question. So knowing what you know today, what would you tell the 20-year-old version of yourself?
Oh, the 20-year-old version. That kid. Oh. I mean, I'd love to tell him like, bro, don't worry, it's all going to work out. But that's not really good advice. What I would say to my 20-year-old self is, bro, you got this thing inside of you. It's called intuition. You really got to listen to it, honestly. You know, it's like there's going to be some things that are going to come up in your life in the next 10 years that you know the answer, but you don't listen to it and you avoid your intuition. And 10 times out of 10, you got it wrong. You know, and it's funny because if this was like an actual time machine, I actually wouldn't want to do that because you got to make those mistakes and learn from them. But I guess I want to say that to my 20-year-old self and say this on the podcast to everyone else is I really listen to that so much more now. Like, you know, so fast, you know the right answer. And sometimes you don't think with your logic, like you think more emotionally in terms of, oh, my intuition is saying this, but it feels so good to do the other thing that my intuition doesn't want to do. You know, that goes with relationships. That goes with business. That goes with, I mean, just everything in your life, the way that you spend your money, the friends that you hang out with, your intuition speaks volumes. And it's not hard. Everyone has it. It's not like everyone has it. It's just the thing that kind of knows best. In the case, even though they know best, sometimes what your intuition knows, it's the hard way out. So that's why you don't listen to it. But listen to it, please. You'll prevent a lot of mistakes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Well, one, I love that because I think I don't know if it's business because, you know, I kind of really jumped into that in my 30s. And if I look at the two things that have really evolved the most or scaled, I don't even want to say growed the most, like one is being more cutthroat and kind of ruthless.
Yeah.
Just because you got to be like in anything. But that is the other one, 100% of when I get that intuition strike, like getting faster and faster on acting on it. And the thing is, it's usually the scariest thing to do, but it's the thing where you're going to grow the most. For me, it was like, I need to get rid of this employee. Like, oh, but they've been around for forever or whatever. Or I think like you said, with relationships, I know I should break up with my girlfriend, but it's going to suck. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, you need to do it.
Yep.
And you realize as you get older, I think you're just like, life is too short to be wasting my time on this shit. And I only have so much bandwidth, like to bring that full circle. So it's like, I need to do this as fast as I can, rip the Band-Aid off, because that's where like the path to growth is. You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, I love that. I guess kind of final question, like where can people find out more about you?
Well, if you're interested in seeing kind of what I'm doing with business stuff, I think, you know, check out my website, trippadvice.com with 2 P's. And you can check out my YouTube channel. Also, just Tripp Advice. And then if you're listening to this is a podcast, so you're probably listening to podcasts. I also have a podcast. So if you are interested in dating advice or you want to kind of see what I'm doing on the podcast to try to make more sales in my business and build my email list, listen to the episodes. It's not called Tripp Advice, though. It's called How to Talk to Girls. So that's what the podcast is called. It's on iTunes and it's on Stitcher. So check that out. And there you go.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, thanks for being on the show. Like I said, we definitely got to get you back on again soon.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.